Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I call the City Council Committee of the whole meeting for Wednesday, May 7th to order. A lot of things going on, so we'll have a moment of silence for you to think about whatever it is you'd like to think about tonight. Thank you. If you'd all please stand and join Alderman Grip in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Krupp, if you'd be kind enough to call the roll tonight.
Ardon. Here. Kelly. Here. McGinnis. Here. Reinhardt.
Here.
Grip.
Here.
Newton.
Here.
Lynch.
Here.
Tedon. Jobson. Here. And Burkholder.
Here.
9 present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sue. So again, good evening and welcome everyone. As we begin the meeting of the City Council Committee of the whole meeting, I'd like to welcome everybody in attendance and anybody who's watching through any particular electronic device. We respectfully welcome your comments and opinions, but please keep in mind that as you share your thoughts, you're sharing them with your fellow Davenporters and anybody throughout the region. We're happy you're participating in your city government. Excuse me, and ask that your participation please reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport a better place. For the folks in here, if you'd be kind enough to consider putting your phone on silent or turning it off, simply that it doesn't get in the way of anybody talking. If you'd like to address the council when the chair calls you, please come to the podium. The microphone's above you. Love to know your name, ward, or address, and if you're not from here, we'd love to know where you're from. Please address the council as a body and not any individual. We'll be respectful of you. Please be respectful of us. Thank you very much. Mr. Maxheimer, City Administrator, any update tonight?
I do not have anything this evening, sir.
Very good, thank you. We have 3 public hearings, 2 under Community Development, 1 under Finance. So we'll start with Community Development. Alderman Grip, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I open the public hearing on the updated analysis of impediments to fair housing choice by Mosaic Community Planning, LLC. Is there anyone from the public who's here to comment on this public hearing? Seeing no one, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? This public hearing has been closed. Open the public hearing on the updated housing needs assessment by Points Consulting, LLC. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Seeing no one, I move to close the public hearing. Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? This public hearing has been closed. Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Next public hearing is in Finance. Alderwoman Newton will discuss. Alderwoman Newton, please.
Point of order, Your Honor, if there's conversation in the,
Oh, I apologize. Yes, if we could, if you have conversation, folks, if you'd please go out in the hallway, we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Sorry, Alderwoman Newton, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I open the public hearing on amending the FY 2025 operating and capital improvement budgets. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Motion a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, with that, I yield the floor back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Newton. We have, the next is proclamations. We have 2 this evening, Military Appreciation Week and National Police Week. I'll read the first one, Military Appreciation Week, May 11th to the 17th. City of Davenport proclamation, whereas the City of Davenport recognizes the sacrifices and dedication of the active, retired, and future service members of the United States military and their families, and whereas the City of Davenport and the Quad City region as a whole is home to many of these service members with our close proximity to and deep appreciation of the Rock Island Arsenal and multiple military installations, and whereas these service members are a critical part of our region, filling roles as co-workers, neighbors, friends, strengthening the social fabric of this area as outstanding role models and community leaders, and whereas many service members have heroically given their lives in conflict for the defense of our freedom and strength as citizens of this great nation, and whereas it is crucial to recognize and celebrate the veterans of these conflicts and to be aware of and responsive to their ongoing needs, both physical and emotional. And whereas civilian workers at facilities such as the Rock Island Arsenal play an important role in the support of these service members, the strength of the United States and its promise of freedom, and the success of the Quad City region as a whole. And now therefore, we, Mayor Mike Mattson and the City Council of Davenport, Iowa, do hereby proclaim May 11th through May 17th, 2025 as Military Appreciation Week in Davenport, and ask all residents to join in expressing gratitude and appreciation to all military service members, veterans, and their families for their selfless service and sacrifice. Dated this 7th day of May, 2025. I'll accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. And I will meet the garrison commander from the Rock Island Arsenal and the Command Sergeant Major Colonel Parker and Command Sergeant Major Ascension at the podium.
So just very quickly, yeah, you can go to the point, I'm sorry. Which way would you like me to point? That's right. So to the city council and for all of those in Davenport listening, either here in the room or online, this means a lot to the Rock Island Arsenal community. We jokingly say that we are one of the original Quad Cities. We strive to be a valuable member to this area, to this community. And as someone who actually lives in Davenport, not on the island, as a resident of Davenport, this means a lot to me as well. We appreciate everything that the city of Davenport and the Quad Cities community does to welcome our military community, and not just our military, but the folks that live and work on the arsenal itself. So thank you all for this proclamation. Thank you for the opportunity to continue to grow our relationships here with the city of Davenport. And we appreciate all your support for our families, our military members, our civilians, and our veterans. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is National Police Week, May 11th to 17th, and Peace Officer Memorial Day, May 15th. The proclamation will be read by Alderwoman Burkholder. Alderwoman Burkholder, please.
Thank you. The City of Davenport, Iowa proclamation, whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed the first proclamation recognizing May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the City of Davenport police officers protect and care for the well-being of our community while serving with integrity, fairness, competency, and professionalism. And whereas through their courageous work and dedicated efforts, our officers provide the citizens of Davenport a safe, stable, and welcoming place to live. And whereas we honor and celebrate the men and women of the Davenport Police Department for their noble commitment to keeping our community safe and recognize the sacrifices made by officers and their families. And whereas the City of Davenport remembers and gives special recognition to officers who have fallen in the line of duty. And now therefore, we, Mike Mattson, Mayor, and the City Council of Davenport, Iowa, do hereby declare our appreciation to all law enforcement officers and honor those who have fallen in the line of duty by proclaiming May 11th through the 17th, 2025 as National Police Week, and May 15th, 2025 is Peace Officer Memorial Day in Davenport, and urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and sacrifices made by all law enforcement officers. Dated this 7th day of May, 2025. I move the proclamation. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? I do have Chief Bladel.
One, two, three.
Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, on behalf of the Davenport Police Department, we want to thank you for your continued support. Next week, we will have our Police Officers Memorial and memorializing the 4 officers that were killed in the line of duty here in Davenport. Their legacy lives on. It lives on through the hard work and dedication that we have through our officers that do the job each and every day. I'm so very proud of their work, but more so very proud to be a Davenport police officer. So we couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without our city administration as well as our community. So thank you very much for this proclamation and recognition.
Thank you. Next is petition and communications. Anyone? Alderman Reinhardt.
Just a quick note, I'll be holding the 8th Ward meeting at Eastern Avenue Library tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. So I apologize for my voice, my sinuses, if anybody has to deal with all this loveliness due to the weather. I just have a question. The investigation that was done for me and all the other folks, are we gonna get the findings from that? Or is that something that's gonna be a court issue thing? I would like to know that. You want me to keep going?
The final report will be given to me next week. So at that point, notifications will be given out.
Okay, appreciate it. So I wrote this down because, you know, I tend to fly off the handle, and so I was trying not to fly off the handle, but I want to know why, not just me, everybody on this panel is elected to do a job, and we do our job, and we serve the community and serve the city well. But it's always that the panel of aldermen, alderwomen don't get along when it comes to the staff, and it's not that we don't get along. When is it that the council folks and the actual staff members are going to actually work in alliance? Because last year's 2.0, to me, is not cool. The secrets and the policies and the policings of the councilmen and women, as opposed to, I know that when somebody says and does something wrong, I get that. I'm not arguing if somebody says or does actions, but what's funny to me is when the actions are given to us, it's always like, well, that's not what they meant. Oh, they were having a bad day. Why is there always an excuse for the protective class citizens, but when something is done of a councilman or a councilwoman, we now have this quick to cornet, and I will use that. We are quick to cornet, and I'm not understanding. For once, it's not me, so I really shouldn't even be saying anything, but I'm just tickled pink that we're quick to want to police, but we're not policing everybody. We're only policing those that they feel, I don't even know what they feel. I don't know, I don't understand the rhyme or the reason of why they're policing half and not policing all. I would love to know the answer to that from the new city administrator, but you know, he said we're gonna conversate, and we haven't conversated since he started. So that's interesting to me. I'm not gonna beat myself up to have an appointment, so I'm good there. The next thing is, so I know I'm not an expert, and I understand that we have these people in place, but once I said, if we're not working together, so I'll give you the example of what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with parking on Central Park and Farnham, and the response to me was, we're going to leave it the way it is because it'll push it into the neighborhood. It's parking. It's parking. What do you mean it's gonna push it into the neighborhood? What are we gonna do? There is a fire hydrant where these people park, and I guess I never pay attention to it because I drive it all the time, going to get me an energy drink and don't pay any attention to it. But when I actually stopped and put my hat on, when you go north on Farnham, you can't see. When you go west on Central Park, you can't see. So I'm like everybody else that always comes up here and asks for safety and security in their neighborhood. What does it mean to push it into the neighborhood as opposed to, there's a fire hydrant and there's 2 people parking there. They can walk 5, 10 extra blocks to go home. Because isn't it a public street? So therefore it makes it public parking. So I just get confused of why I do all that I do and then there's pushback from staff. And then, so when I go to the intersection now, it's a four-way stop, there's 3 flashing lights as opposed to 4. And I'm like, okay, once again, I don't have the answers, but I typically don't even get a response. If it wasn't for Tanya Castleman, God bless her, some of the things I don't even know are done until Tanya sends me an email, but it's just like, it's really interesting that we do all this work and we spend all this time out in the streets dealing with folks, and we can't sometimes, A, get a follow-up, or B, get the something, move the parking. Move the parking. How hard is that? There is a fire hydrant, and I know they see that when they drive out there to see that these folks are parking in front of their home by a fire hydrant. I'm long-winded tonight, sorry, without a voice. But I'm just saying, it's interesting to me that we do all this work, and this is not for the weak. I'm telling you, I may not be liked, and I don't care, but I get out there and I work my community. I have never wavered when it comes to the city of Davenport. So I'm just saying, what's the purpose of us sitting in these positions when we get pushback, but then it's saying that we don't get along? Who cares if I get along with him or if they don't? We're supposed to work together, aren't we? That's what the bottom line is. We were elected to work with the constituents, and we're supposed to work together. So what's funny to me is we can't get that when we have a protective class citizen. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I don't name drop anymore, but it's the folks that sit over here to the left. And it's interesting to me that I don't have the answers. I just want to work with you. That's all. I just want to work with you so we can make Davenport, not one area of Davenport, a great place to live. We can make the whole city of Davenport a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Okay, we'll move to the 4 areas of discussion: community development, public safety, public works, and finance. The first is community development. Alderman Grip and Alderman Reinhardt will discuss. Alderman Grip, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 4 items on our agenda this evening. The first is a resolution accepting the updated analysis of impediments to fair housing choice by Mosaic Community Planning, LLC. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Seeing no one, is there anyone from the council? This item will move on. Item number 2 is a resolution accepting the updated housing needs assessment by Points Consulting, LLC. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Anyone from council? This item will move on. Item number 3 is a resolution approving case F25-03, being the request of D&D Property Holding, LLC, for a final plat of Northside Industrial Park, a 3-lot subdivision on 28.3 acres located on Lot 1 of Iowa Research, Commerce, and Technology Park, 3rd Edition. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? This item will move on. And item number 4 is a resolution placing a moratorium upon solar farms as a principal use and freestanding solar panels as an accessory use until November 14th, 2025. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Step to the lectern, state your name and address or ward, please.
Jane Duex, 5th Ward, Davenport. I just was wondering why we're having a moratorium on solar farms. Not that I really thought there were many solar farms within the city of Davenport, but don't we use single solar panels to power traffic lights, the city? I mean, I kind of always thought when I saw they looked like a solar panel, and I just wondered what the rationale is. And I don't know how to ever get an answer from anybody except for my alderman does answer me sometimes, well, many times, always. Sorry. So what's the rationale? Can we have an answer for the public today, or do I just have to get it solely from my alderman? Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? Alderwoman Newton.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Can someone from staff come up here and please answer the questions that were just asked?
Laura Berkeley, Development Neighborhood Services. This is actually a city council initiated solar moratorium. in just conversations with Alderman Reinhardt and Alderman Grip, I had asked if we could also do it for solar farms. The reason is we've been getting a lot of inquiries related to solar farms recently, and there's some changes we'd like to make in terms of locations around the airport, stipulations associated with that. There's also been a lot of changes since our initial code was written in 2019. We want to review that and upcoming technology and trends and make sure we're looking at things thoughtfully.
You said city council, can you be specific?
Alderman Grip and Alderman Reinhardt asked for the moratorium for the freestanding solar arrays for accessory, and I asked if we could also do the solar farms at the same time.
Thank you. Let me just ask, maybe my colleagues can maybe explain further the rationale to help us understand. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I plan to at the end, but I will take a point of privilege before I go to Alderman Kelly and explain. So we had an issue with a solar panel being built in a yard, and it was raised as a concern from the public, from multiple people. We evaluated it and said, is this what we want solar to look like in residential? So we started to have that conversation, and with the staff at our community development meeting, and the conversation quickly turned to, in the Midwest, there are solar companies that are coming in and buying large swaths of developmental land and putting solar farms there. And if they can do it by right, you really don't have any way to stop them from doing it. So the question is, how do we want to do solar farms, and do we want to allow solar farms in the city of Davenport? And because we have had some developers who are looking at it, we thought it would be wise to take a pause and have our staff look at what other communities are doing and what the best way for us to go about it would be. And I think it's important to realize, if you're trying to put a solar array on your house, you would still be able to continue to do this. So this would be if it's going not on a principal use structure like a building or a home. So that's the rationale behind it. And typically when we do these moratoriums, we do them for 6 months to give our staff the opportunity to do thorough research and then come back to the council with potential courses of action to take. And I will go to comments. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. So, not understanding, are there any examples of what we can do a drive-by to be, to somewhat be able to understand what this is and what this is for? Do you have locations?
I will talk with the staff, I guess, and see if we can share the location with the city council of the residential case. But I would say, as far as commercial goes, think about any piece of vacant land in the city, and then do you think we should be able to put a solar panels there without any building?
I understand. No, I just asked, and I would hope that the staff would want to share that information so we can at least just be like, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? So I would hope that I would like to know that at least, because I get it. I see them on houses, I see them on buildings, whatever, but I'm trying to understand this. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Alderwoman McGinn.
My question's a little bit the same. So I just, to Alderman Kelly's point, because I'll probably get questions, we'll all get questions about this. I think I do understand solar farms. I get that. It's what meant by, so freestanding solar panels is the question. So that if, to the point that was asked from the public, if we need to put another stop sign that has a solar panel that fuels it, that would be okay. Something like that, and those are uses for sure. So if you could help with that would, I think, help clarify for me as well.
Yep, happy to.
Thank you.
So anything that would be related to anything in the right-of-way is not regulated by the zoning code and would not be subject to this as well. So it's just specifically to freestanding ones on private property.
We'll go back to Alderwoman Newton.
Thank you. Just two things real quick. One, I would respectfully request the matter be placed on the discussion agenda. And then secondly, if I heard correctly, I heard that research, the reason for the moratorium would be to allow time for research. I can only assume, but perhaps I'm wrong, that such research would take more than an hour. So should we be placing a motion on the agenda for such research in light of the discussions we had yesterday and the communications protocol draft that was provided by CA Maxiner?
If you're looking for my opinion, that is not in place yet, so that is
Correct.
still under, I think that's part of the zoning purview, and certainly look to the council to ask for that research. So.
Okay, I yield the floor back.
Thank you. Any other? Alderman Dunn?
Real quick, I assume the November 14th for 6 months. Usually we just put 6 months instead of a date, so that's just kind of different, but I get it. Thanks.
All right, that item will remain on discussion. And Alderman Reinitz, will you please set our agenda?
Thank you. Thank you. I make motion to place items 1, 2, and 3 on consent, and item number 4 will remain on discussion. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
All right, back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Griffin, Alderman Reinhardt. Next area is public safety. Alderman Jobson will discuss. Alderman Jobson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item under the public safety agenda is a third consideration ordinance amending Schedule 15 pedestrian traffic signals of Chapter 10.96 entitled Schedules of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa by removing Fairmont Street at Buchanan School. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on this item? Anyone from council? Seeing none, that item moves on. Item number 2, first consideration ordinance amending Schedule 11, resident parking only of Chapter 10.96 entitled Schedules by adding 16th Street along the south side from 140 feet east of Division Street, east 25 feet. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on this item? Anyone from council? Seeing none, that item will move on. Item number 3, resolution approving street, lane, and public ground closure requests on the list of dates and times for outdoor events. I'll read each of these before asking for comment. First, QC Pride, Quad Cities Unity Pride Parade, downtown, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Closure, 2nd Street from Iowa Street to the Centennial Bridge, Iowa Street from East 3rd Street to East River Drive. Next, Hope at the Brick House Block Party, 1431 Ripley Street, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. every Friday, June 13th, 2025 through August 22nd, 2025. Closure, Ripley Street from West 14th Street to West 15th Street. And then last, Child Protection Response Center Summer Family Day, 415 East George Washington Boulevard, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday, June 21, 2025. Closure, East George Washington Boulevard from Brady Street to east of the parking lot of 3303 Brady Street. Is there anyone wishing to comment on any of these items? Anyone from council? Seeing none, that item will move on. Next, we have item number 4, motion approving noise variance requests on the list of dates and times for outdoor events. I'll read each of these before asking for comment. First, Mount Sinai Fellowship Praise-a-thon, 4706 Northwest Boulevard, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday, May 17th, 2025, outdoor music over 50 dBA. Next, Hope at the Brick House Block Party, 1431 Ripley Street, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. every Friday, June 13th, 2025 through August 22nd, 2025, outdoor music over 50 dBA. Next, QC Pride, Quad Cities Unity Pride Parade downtown, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., Saturday, June 14th, 2025, outdoor music over 50 dBA. And then last, the Meat Market Party, 1629 Washington Street, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, June 14th, 2025, outdoor music band over 50 dBA. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on any of these items? Seeing none, anyone from council? Seeing none, that item will move on. And then last, we have item number 5, motion approving beer and liquor license applications. I'll read the item under section A, new license, new owner, temporary permit, temporary outdoor area, location, transfer, etc. Wide River Winery, 1128 Mound Street, temporary event with outdoor area, May 24th, license type, special class C beer/wine on premises. And then we have those items under section B, the annual license renewals, which are there for your view, but I will not read. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on these items? Anyone from council? Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to place all items from public safety onto the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Closes public safety. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Jobe. The next area is Public Works. Alderman Rick Dunn and Alderman Kelly will discuss. Alderman Rick Dunn, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first item is the third consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 13.16 entitled Wastewater Facilities of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa to revise local discharge limits. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 2 is a resolution accepting work completed under the Modern Woodman Park Field renovation project by Bush Sports Turf LLC of Milan, Illinois, in the amount of $740,597. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing Alderwoman Newton.
Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, there was a question at the management update yesterday regarding this item, and I believe our CA said that they would get back to us with an answer.
Nicole Gleason, Public Works. When the work session was held back in the fall, discussing this item as well as the lights, staff indicated that would be paid from LST, Local Sales Tax Fund Balance, and that's where the funding came from in this case. We will be reviewing this item with the Modern Women Subcommittee as far as its assignment to the CIF or SIF, and that's scheduled for a meeting later this month.
Do you know approximately when the council then will receive information as to the final determination of what it's going to be allocated from?
Once we get that direction, we should be able to get something back to the whole council.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, this item will move on. Item number 3 is a resolution accepting work completed under the FY 2023 Contract Sewer Repair Program by Haggerty Earthworks, LLC of Muscatine, Iowa, in the amount of $683,496.65. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 4 is a resolution accepting work completed on the Forest Road, East Kimberly Road to East 39th Street Reconstruction Project by N.J. Miller of Bettendorf, Iowa, in the amount of $453,855.45. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 5 is a resolution accepting work completed on the compost facility floor modification project by Arid Works LLC of Long Grove, Iowa, in the amount of $370,547.81. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 6 is a resolution accepting work completed under the Freight House Roof Replacement Project by White Roofing Incorporated of Eldridge, Iowa, in the amount of $266,063. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 7 is a resolution awarding a contract for the East 53rd Street to Utica Ridge Road Intersection Improvement Project to Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete LLC of Cascade, Iowa, in the amount of $1,068,859.40, subject to the Iowa Department of Transportation concurrence. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 8 is a resolution awarding a contract for the 2025 high-volume roadway resurfacing project to CDMI Concrete Contractors of Port Byron, Illinois, in the amount of $804,577.45. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 9 is a resolution awarding a contract for the Oak Street, 2804 Oak Street to West 29th Street Reconstruction Project to Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete LLC of Cascade, Iowa, in the amount of $289,626.16. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Dunn. I just wanted to note on the next item, I will be abstaining from discussing or voting on the item due to a conflict of interest. Several years ago, I was involved in discussions surrounding rehab of this property. While I was not compensated for my work, I feel it best to abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just a real quick question. Have we worked with this contractor before? We have. Perfect. Thank you. That's all I need. Seeing no one else, this item will move on. Item number 10 is a resolution awarding a contract for the demolition of 711 West 3rd Street to Valley Construction Company of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $209,900. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Please step to the podium.
Judith Lee, Second Ward, and I'm not questioning the contract or the contractor. I have a more fundamental question on this one. Okay, LeCondro Management LLC purchased this 1890s building in 2023 for $65,000. It is now assessed at $309,230. My fundamental question on this is I do not understand why the city is asking City Council to approve over $200,000 in costs for demolition when other property owners in the city have had to pay to demolish their own buildings, commercial. It's true for the Davenport Hotel on 53rd, the former YMCA, the Quad City Inn on Brady, and I'm sure many other properties where they had to demolish it themselves. And I'm sure it's many other properties in the city. I request an answer for why there's an exception for LeCondro Management LLC for over $200,000 in this case, especially with the high cost and hazardous materials. I'm sure it's got lead paint and just tons of asbestos in there. So I'd like an answer to that. And then my second question is, I would like to know whether LeCondro Management LLC is going to reimburse the city for this $200,000 that we are voting on with city taxpayer money, whether he will retain ownership, and whether he can then sell it or use it for a profit. I would like that question answered too before we move forward on contracting for this demolition. So I ask that this be put on discussion until this can be worked out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have somebody from staff that can address them? Questions?
Rich Oswald, Development Neighborhood Services. I won't have all the answers for you tonight, but when the fire marshal or chief building official declares a building a public hazard, that owner has to demolish it. They can either demolish it with their own funds, or if they can't because it was declared a public hazard, the city will demolish the building, and then that money is assessed back to that property, which until the money is paid back, usually those lots do not sell. So that is our process. That's how we do it. Normally, what you see is individual homes or houses. We don't usually demo this large of a building, but at this time, it's a larger building, and we need to take it down because it is a public hazard.
Thank you. Anyone from council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 11 is a resolution awarding a one-year contract with 2 possible one-year renewals for the root control program to Duke Root Control Incorporated of Elgin, Illinois. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council. Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 12 is a resolution authorizing submission of a grant application to the Iowa Department of Transportation's Alternative Program for financial assistance to reroute the Duck Creek Recreational Trail under Division Street. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council. Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 13 is a resolution approving the purchase of 5 police interceptor utility vehicles from Xavier Ford of Joaquin, Iowa in the amount of $233,045 using State of Iowa Department of Administrative Services Contract 2451. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council. Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 14 is a motion awarding a contract for the main library chiller glycol conversion to Hometown Mechanical of Davenport, Iowa in the amount of $66,990. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council. Seeing none, this item will move on. And item number 15 is a motion awarding a contract for the asbestos abatement to Junior Theater, Davenport Learning Center facility to Environmental Management Services of Iowa Incorporated of Dubuque, Iowa, in the amount not to exceed $62,000. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item?
Jane Duex, Fifth Ward, Davenport. So the Junior Theater, that's the Mary Nicewander Theater that we're talking about at the Annie Meyer Complex, I think. And I thought we sold that whole thing to some developer for $1.
This is a new learning center.
A new building?
We're moving Junior Theater too.
Okay, so that's what I wanted clarification. So I don't know where that is, but Yonkers was the last place I heard. Pardon me? Oh, 2001 building or different building?
Anyone else? Anyone from council? Alderwoman Burkholder.
Thank you. Is this dollar amount coming out of the funds that we've already approved, or is this additional?
It's coming out of the funds we've already approved, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, this item will move on. And Alderman Kelly, would you set the agenda for us, please?
Gladly. I would like to make a motion that all items except for 10 stay under discussion and the rest of the items move to the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And that concludes Public Works for this evening, Your Honor. Back to you.
Thank you, Alderman Rick Dunn and Alderman Kelly. The next item, last, is Finance. Alderwoman Newton and Alderwoman Burkholder will discuss. Alderwoman Newton, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, Alderwoman Burkholder and I have 4 items on the finance agenda. Item number 1, second consideration, ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 6.04 entitled Animals of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa to incorporate recommendations from the Joint Task Force between the Humane Society of Scott County and the City of Davenport and to update language throughout for clarity. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this matter? Council? Alderwoman McGinnis.
Just very briefly, I'd like to thank everybody. This has been a long and arduous process, and I'd like to thank everyone who worked on it, particularly the council. Alderwoman Burkholder has been a part of that work, so I know that it took time to walk through, and I appreciate all the efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderwoman Burkholder.
Thank you. I do have a couple of amendments to this that I'd like to read and make a motion to amend the ordinance as follows. Add the following definition: sanitary conditions means premise free from accumulated animal waste, offensive odors, overcrowding, insects, or rodents due to animal keeping or health or safety risk to humans and animals. And to amend the definition of the service animal to read as follows. Service animal means a dog or miniature horse that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a person with a disability, including a physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, or other mental disability or otherwise defined by the American with Disabilities Act. The crime deterrent effects of the animal's presence and the provision of emotional support, well-being, or companionship do not constitute work or task for the purpose of this definition. And to delete section 6.04.020F. Do I have a second?
So I think we need a roll call for the motion. Please.
Lynch?
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's discussion on the amendment first. Okay. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address the amendment? Anyone from council? Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Alderwoman Newton. I just had a question for Alderwoman Burkholder. I'm assuming that this has been vetted with the Humane Society, this language, and we're in agreement. And okay, all right. Thank you.
I also believe it's at the recommendation of our city council or corporate council.
Yes, and I don't want to take undue credit. Director Lacey from the Civil Rights Division also reviewed it and provided input about matching language with the ADA for clarity for our citizens.
Alderwoman Burkholder.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Director Lacy did bring this to our attention, and I wanted to thank her.
Anyone else from council? All right, seeing no one else, I'd ask for a roll call.
Lynch?
Yes.
Ardon?
Yes.
Newton?
Yes.
Grip?
Yes.
Jobson?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Reinhardt?
Yes.
Burkholder?
Yes.
And McGinnis.
Yes.
That is 9 yeses. Alderwoman Newton?
Thank you. Now I'd move on to item number 2 is a resolution amending the FY 2025 operating and capital improvement budgets. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Please step forward, state your name, ward, or address.
Judith Lee, Second Ward. I sent an email earlier today. I did a close look, and of course, you have more information than I do on all this stuff. But I do have some questions, and because of that, I'd like to ask that this go on discussion. As we talked about yesterday at Management Update, this still talks about AmeriCorps, and I'm just wondering if this will need to be amended again. And how does the loss, including this $535,000 from the general fund, affect us? My second question is, where are all the current and projected costs for outside legal counsel for this fiscal year, considering that April 2025 alone was at least $155,000? And what funds are they being paid out of? I would expect that there would have to be some amendments, considering that more lawsuits have been filed and others are moving forward actively. 3, what is the amendment for $80,000 for the Fairmount Community Center? And what is the total amount expected for maintenance, finishing construction, and operations and programming projected for FY 2025? This is important because it was already the $1 million building turned into another $2 million building. So I'm just wondering where these costs are coming from. I also have the question on what is the Heart of America Development Agreement of $191,000 that has to do with the local sales tax? What is the money used for? And what is the projected total amount for 2025? The next one is about, it just says 2024 flood, and it shows $89,000 plus. What is this for, and what is the total amount under 2024 flood for 2025? This one really had me scratching my head. The amendment document shows $86,000 for the mayor and Metro Coalition accounting. What is the Metro Coalition? What is the money used for? What is the Metro Fund? And what is the projected total amount, including this additional $86,000 for FY 2025? Who has control over this fund? I've never seen anything like that come before council. My next question is, the amendment shows an $8,000 increase for Veterans Memorial Park out of our local sales tax fund. What is this increase used for? Is it for the currently developed area, or is it for all the acres of blading that we did and bulldozers that we did this year? How much is projected for FY 2025 total? What has this $8,000 been used for over and above the $800,000 that council approved for this park, which has already been spent? And what is foreseen for FY 2026 for the current park and the proposed expansion that's already been bulldozed by the city? And then my last question is, $1,165,000 has been added to this amendment for junior theater relocation using ARPA. I was aware that council voted on what was expected to be about $800,000, and now we're talking about almost 1.2 million. What is the projected total amount for the relocation? And why does this amendment increase the amount to over 1 million? So again, I'm asking that this be put on discussion until we can get these questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Okay. Seeing no one from council, I would ask that it stay on discussion to allow our time for our staff to get those answers provided. Item number 3, a resolution approving a payment of $146,472 to Forensic Technology, Inc. of Largo, Florida, for a 5-year renewal of the NIBIN IBIS Warranty and Protection Plan, CIP number 63023. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, item 3 moves on. And last but not least, item number 4, motion approving a payment of an amount not to exceed $97,000 to Legacy Fire Apparatus of Shorewood, Illinois, for repairs to fire truck T3. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, item 4 moves on, and with that, I would ask Alderwoman Burkholder to please set our agenda.
I would like to move items 1, 3, and 4 to consent and item 2 to discussion.
Hear a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, our agenda is set. I yield the floor back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Newton and Alderwoman Burkholder. Sorry. The next, are there any other ordinances, motions, or resolutions? We have none. And then the next item, is there any public with business? Please come podium, name, word, or address of 3 minutes. Thank you. Next, please. Yes.
Cheryl Shagnon, 3rd Ward, and I'm still waiting to hear what happened to the furniture that was on the agenda back in November of 2024. What I did notice changed on the agenda just this week for the very first time, and I've gone back and checked several agendas, is that this agenda actually has the date of those under 50,000, 49,999. Falling on the back, and that actually has it. It's through the 1st through the 15th, and so of April. So that's going back over a month. So if this hit the November 6th agenda, then the furniture would have been in the building approximately in October. When you look at the budgets and the increases in the budgets, you also see that we added a couple of staff in the attorney's office, a couple assistant attorneys or changes in there, as well in the CA in the city attorney's office. So I'm still very curious to know what happened to that furniture, because it can't really come out of a fixed capital fund when it was originally scheduled to come out of something that's going to be depreciated over time. And I understand that you all are here to represent us. And I understand better over time that the true obstacle comes from, is that my 3 minutes? Comes from sitting behind me. And that we really need to work together to make sure that these obstacles, because this was a dysfunctional council, a dysfunctional board before we got the new CA in. And now it seems like it's even more dysfunctional. The environment prior was toxic. To me, it was a combination of Big Brother and Survivor with city attorneys and who was going to get out and take the most money at first. And now we just have like investigations dropping. I have a CA that I feel like he tap dances better than Gregory Hines, Fred Astaire, Sammy Davis Jr., and Gene Kelly on a good day. And then doesn't give us the answers.
Point of order, Your Honor. I believe our rules require that we not address and talk about specific people. She's identifying a person. I'm asking a point of order, please.
Okay. Ms. Hagner, if you would just talk about the subject, please. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Very toxic work environment, and then when I hear about the decorum for communication with city staff, it is broken. It was broken before the building fell. Nothing has changed. It's still broken, and if someone doesn't change this, it's going to continue to be broken and only going to get worse. It's like toxic mold, only in human form. And you guys, I realize you're working hard to fight for us, but really, you only need a majority to let the people who are really running the city go. We need to do something with human resources, because human resources isn't letting people go who need to go. Something inherent is wrong. Something needs to change.
Thank you. Next, please.
Judith Lee, Second Ward. My comments focus on a few of my concerns on the communication protocol that was presented to council last night at Management Update. I received a copy from a member of the public. There is so much here that is so very wrong from my point of view as a former council member and now an active member of the public. And I will summarize my concerns that I sent in my email to you this afternoon. 1, City Council, you are the lawmakers and strong council, weak mayor form a government with a timely and accurate support of City Administrator, Corporation Council, Mayor, and staff per both state code and the 2024 Municipal Leaders Handbook, the standard operating procedure for Iowa. The handbook and state code state the city administrator is directly responsible to you. And the CA and Corporation Council are hired, evaluated, and fired by you. The handbook makes clear that council's responsibility is to request and obtain accurate and timely information that they need for this responsibility from staff so they can do their homework and make informed decisions. It clearly states that one of the council's important authorities is providing direction to the city manager, administrator, and/or city staff. And I just heard about direction that was given to city staff today about the solar panels. And yet I heard yesterday, oh no, you can't do that. The definition needs to be defined by council, not staff. I don't know where the past and current city administrators got the idea the city council doesn't have the authority to be the decision-making body, but this misdirection, lack of professionalism, and disrespect needs to stop now. The city administrator does not have the authority to make policy, and the draft policy being presented to you is in violation and usurps your authority. I am especially appalled and alarmed that the city administrator and corporation council dared to call the draft document a communications protocol, and that they want to put this up for a vote. First, as an alderwoman, I was inappropriately placed under an imaginary process called a communication protocol by the last CA and corporation council, in which the only communication between me and staff was through the attorney. And it completely obstructed my ability to do my job. I warn you, do not institutionalize this wording, and do not let the administration define directing for you. It also institutionalizes the consistent chronic lack of information provided to council and the public, including providing necessary information in a timely manner. Yesterday, they said 48 hours for questions, 24 hours for response, and you've got a Friday 5 o'clock agenda. You're going to get the information right before the meeting. I stand with Alderman Newton's determination to abstain when she received the relevant information for an agenda item less than 1 hour before the meeting. This cannot stand. This is not workable.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Next, please.
David Anderson, Ward 5. I wrote this before I heard these fine people. Negativity alert. How do we be all positive in Davenport? We got to get it soon or we are going to lose good people. I mean, fantastic people. Number 2, today is the predicted future that I've always studied my entire life. We have lack of water. We have lack of lots of stuff. We're about to lose constitutional rights, federal funding, democracy. And as they used to say, this could be the end of the world. Well, for some of us, it's only the end of the world as we know it. This could be, and I'm not an expert, the third year of 7 eras that the earth goes through. It's here. It would be good if people would get ready for it because the amount of poor people could skyrocket. And there's more, so much more to discuss. Solar farms, regular farms, energy consumption growing. Also, 3, how much money has been spent on Imais Park? I take my doggy there and I go there and I see tons of work being done and there's more gonna be done. And I'm not intelligent enough to figure it all out. I never did good with financial things, stuff like that. Also, Police Appreciation Week. When I lived in Illinois, and I will demonstrate right here, if nobody understands what a human being looks like being hogtied, I will get up on this table here and I will show you. See, I can't move my arms back anymore. Handcuffed multiple times. It's never happened in Davenport, so I appreciate Davenport and Davenport Police so much, but please do not allow this to any other person, disabled or not, people that can't fight back, people that can't even crawl. Me, that's what happened to me. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you for Davenport Police. They've been all good to me. I've never had a problem in my entire life.
Thank you. Next, please.
Robin Priestley, 3rd Ward. Thank you all for making the time available. We have plans, at least published in the newspaper that I'm aware of basically way over $10 million that'll be allocated toward making one-ways, two-ways for economic development and a very lovely park design and things of that nature. But yet, we fail to service the least protected people within the confines of the city. We have homeless encampments, and we apparently, as a city, choose to basically ignore those. But while we have an obligation, if the thought is that we have an obligation to help provide for these people who are primarily it's mental health issues and it's addiction issues predominantly. But if we're going to say that we want to help them or at least ignore them, why is it we can't, if we're willing to spend 14 million on this and 8 million on that, why can't the city have portalets and trash pickup, basic human sanitation provided for those homeless encampments? You've got one in front of Harvest, you've got one generally at the library, but if we take the approach that we're our neighbor's shepherd, then why don't we do that? If we're not going to do that, then why don't we take the approach that this is unacceptable, that citizens don't have basic needs, and do something about that? My question is quite simple. If we're willing to spend millions on economic development by changing the directions of streets, why won't we spend a few $100s every month so that the people that are living on that street with which you expect to develop economic development and develop that area, why aren't we taking care of some of their basic needs, like pooping? And I know that this sounds odd. I've got over 500 videos of them pooping on my yard. And I get that I've been told by my alderman that that's a me problem. Keeping people from pooping on my yard is a me problem, right? Because it's my property. I can utilize the police to chase them off, but it's a me problem. So I'm willing to take it on as a me problem, but I'd like to share it. I'd like the city or the organizations that put up food banks and other things to be responsible for some basic sanitary needs, because they all have them. If you give away food 3 days a week, people are going to need to poop, right? So I'm just looking for the city council to take, and I've talked to the Citizens Advisory committee meeting on this same subject, and I'm willing to keep coming back. But if we're going to do the right thing for people, then let's go ahead and do the right thing. And if we're not going to do the right thing, then let's be proud enough or bold enough to say so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Anything else, Mr. Maxheimer?
No, Your Honor.
Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Have a good weekend.